It happens only in October that I brush my hair when not in the shower, because otherwise, if I did that more often, I would have had that permanently. And when it is suitable for the season of the witch, in my normal life, I would rather avoid that. Last time we did that when I went to Hanover to watch Rocky Horror Picture Show together with my friend. And here we are now. And what do you do once a year? Moin moin, dear people, old, new, my friends, the friends of my friends, my relatives, and anyone in the world who found this channel and who thought that the topics that I'm talking about might be interesting for them, or maybe they enjoy listening to me telling some stories, or maybe you watch my videos and somehow they help you to rewind and calm down. And if it happens, or if it is currently happening to you, I am so honored. I'm so glad that I managed to do that, because I've been working on stabilizing my nervous system for years and years. And if my voice or my picture or my stories or my anything can bring peace at least to someone in their life, I'm very glad. I'm very, very, very glad. I am here to remind you that I am Anna of Northern Germany, a survivor, a fighter, a writer, and on this channel I talk about mainly about writing, because I am an aspiring author, about books, about mental health awareness, all this together. And currently it's October, and in October, because I have free will and YouTube channel, I dedicate October to the season of the witch, to Halloween, because I'm obsessed with Halloween, but since I'm Russian, I never had a chance to celebrate Halloween. But okay, don't rush to cry. Don't rush to cry. Now I have plenty of chances. I have my YouTube channel, and I entertain myself with this autumn topic and also Halloween. And I think autumn is my favorite season, and I absolutely love walking and tossing all these wonderful, colorful leaves. It's just such a joy for me. And also, what you should know about me, maybe it shows, but when I was growing up, I was really in love with all this supernatural topic. Well, there are many people like me, I suppose, and also, if you had watched my previous season of the witch-related video, folklore-related videos, you know that Russians are very superstitious, but at the same time, why it happened that I never celebrated Halloween? Well, it happened that although Russians are superstitious and many Christian celebrations, they were actually inherited from paganism, and we invent a lot of creepy stories. Or for example, Dostoevsky likes the topic of the devil coming to a person and driving the person crazy. But also I made a short a year ago. Now I don't have much time to make shorts, and also I struggle to keep up to the quality I want to keep for my shorts. That's why I don't make them that much. But yeah, I made a short with one story, how we were celebrating Halloween. It was tradition. In my department, I studied foreign languages in Russia, and how once it was banned, you can find it somewhere, this short. And somehow, yes, paganism, yes, superstitions, yes, we invent very many creepy stories, and also UFO stories, and also the TV show which is called The Battle of Psychics, which was adapted from a British show, from what I remember, and this show thrived nowhere but in Russia, and also maybe in Ukraine from what I heard. So this post-Soviet territory. And somehow, but when we talk about Halloween, no, it's foreign. No, it's from the devil. No, you are not allowed to celebrate that. Why are you dressing up as a witch? Why are you dressing up as a monster? You are just... the God will punish you. As always, yeah, that's the standard situation. But there is nothing new here because Russia consists of contradictions, as many other places, to be honest. But in this video, I just decided to remember different stories which we told each other as we were kids, or which were told us by our relatives, or sometimes some stories I actually saw in a documentary. That was a wild documentary. I rewatched it a couple of days ago, although I don't believe in all this stuff anymore because, as I had already mentioned in all other videos, I'm a very critical person and it's hard for me to believe in all this stuff. But I still cherish all these stories and I want to share them with you. And I have been having a very long introduction again. God damn it. And also I'm dressed in a nightgown, if you are wondering. I bought it in Lidl. And of course I wanted to depict something like a white ghost lady, but I have no white nightgown. My grandma, my Soviet grandma, should have a lot of them, but I miss my grandma. Imagine the USSR, 1970s, a province town, well, a provincial town, we would call that in Russia, but actually in Germany, my hometown would have been one of the biggest. We have around 500,000 citizens, plus the region of my hometown is also quite big, like villages and so. And in the center there is a street which is called VCK Street. VCK Street, what does it mean, VCK? Well, it's a great-great-grandma of FSB. So first there was VCK, and these people were responsible for the Red Terror. Then it was KGB, then it was FSB. Yeah, we have weird names of the streets. We have the 9th of May streets. We have streets which are called something like 50 years of October Revolution, like very long names, but yeah, it's a Soviet tradition. So this street is close to the railway station. I will show you in the Google Maps for you to have a picture in your head. And the story is about a mysterious voice that people could hear at random moments while they were passing by. The voice sounded creepy, it sounded inhuman. And the worst thing about this voice was that the voice, or the person or the creature behind this voice, seemed to know everything about the people who were passing by. And everyone was spooked, and that was something that everyone knew at that point. For example, I checked in with my dad, and he told me that those were the times when my grandpa was relatively well, relatively young. He was working for the plane compartments factory, and he also had friends who were not the last people in the government of my hometown. And they were telling him that KGB and the police, they came there, they investigated this case, and they also freaked out and they fled because the voice was telling out loud who they slept with, what crimes they committed, what bribes they accepted, etc., etc. And everyone was freaking out because there seemed to be no explanation to this story. Who was that? Who that was? Why it was? And also, as this voice swore and insulted Brezhnev and the top party, the top Soviet party, the tops of the Soviet party. Logical is that when this joking person is found, this person is going to jail, and this person, if it is a person, is going to spend the rest of their days in this life in jail. That's highly likely. Those are 1970s. You cannot just swear and insult Brezhnev. It's just not what people would do. But the thing is, up until today, this story is a bit vague, is a bit unclear, because right now, the theory or the official version is that a lady, she rented out her house and she had a girl who rented a room from her. The girl had a boyfriend, and the lady who rented out her rooms, she didn't like the boyfriend of this girl who rented a room from her. And this lady, she knew some physics, the basics of physics, and somehow she decided to spook out this boyfriend or the whole couple together, I don't know, and she started to record creepy sounds, and she turned them on. And then the girl realized that it was happening, but she had a talent of speaking with the closed mouth. That's the official version. I'm just telling you, this is the official version. And she started to do the same as a response to the things that her landlady, as a response to the things her landlady did to her. I am not inventing that. It's literally what I saw in the documentary. That's literally what is being passed from one person to another. The version has been modified throughout the years, but my father told me that it was also something like this, but now it's wilder, of course, in the past. And up until today, nobody knows what it was and who it was and where the person who did that ended up, because I cannot believe that it is something supernatural. Maybe you have an idea what it could be. Another story is connected with my favorite place in my hometown. In my hometown, we have a Catholic church, a very beautiful, well, for some people say that it's very ugly, but for me it's very beautiful, Gothic Catholic church. And in this Catholic church, Kazimir Malevich got married. If you know, this is the guy who painted the black square. I'm not a fan of this picture, but okay, I think many people know Kazimir Malevich. And this church, of course, during the Soviet years, all the churches belonged to the state, and the main church looks like this in my town. It's an Orthodox church. It was a cinema, and the Catholic church, there were many problems. It was a storage. They couldn't make use of it somehow. And the story was actually told by the priest, the main priest that was serving in the Catholic Church at that point. He was from Poland, and he spoke Russian with a very strong accent. It was very cute. But what I realized lately, well, when I rewatched this video, he told this story. And the story was that, yeah, the church belonged to the government, and Catholics were begging the government after the USSR collapsed, can you please give the church back to us? We want to pray there. It was built for us to pray there, want it back. And the governor of that time, or the person who was supposed to say yes or no, said to the Catholics that it will happen only over my body. I don't know if there is such an expression in the English language, but over my dead body. And in 3 months he died. But what I realized, I watched how this priest was telling this story, and in the end, there was such a smirk on his face, such a happy grin, that I realized that he thoroughly enjoyed the story himself. And he probably also thought that this governor or the person who didn't want to give the church to the Catholics deserved everything. There are villages in my hometown which are known to be witchier than the others. Also, there are witches where the UFO is seen more often than in other villages. But this fact is related to alcohol consumption, I believe. But the witchy villages, there is one with a well, and the story runs that there is a mansion that used to belong to a noble lady, and it was before the USSR, and it was even before the serfdom was abolished. And the lady was evil, was literally evil, was human level evil. She hated young women, her young servants, her young peasants, and she killed them, and she threw dead bodies into the well close to her mansion. And the legend tells also that this lady at some point was grabbed by all these unrested souls, and they dragged her into this well, and she died there. But it's also not only about mansions and creepy ladies who deserve what had happened to them, if it had happened to them. Also, we have roads to certain villages which have kind of portals. How do I know that there are portals? Because we have this show, once again, the Battle of Psychics. It's disgusting. It's staged from the very beginning to the end. But sometimes they have the tour, the psychics, and they are invited to some places. And the worst thing is that they are often invited to people who are grieving, and they are benefiting from people's grief. But okay, we have certain roads to certain villages, and according to people who live nearby, it's believed that more people die there. More car crashes happen on the way to this or that village that belongs to this kind of witch circle. And the villagers believe that because of these witchy villages, the roads on the way to these villages were cursed, and that's why people die a lot there. And the psychics from the Battle of Psychics went there in 2018 in my hometown, and they closed the portal. I tried to find certain statistics which would confirm or maybe debunk the myth that there had been many deaths on this particular part of the road, or on this particular part of the route of a car, or that would confirm that, yeah, that's true, or confirm that it had been true and after the Battle of Psychics it became better. But I had no confirmation or debunking. There is no statistics. If you had been thinking that I'm exaggeration when I say that I was very much into this topic of mystery and supernatural, think twice. No, I don't exaggerate. I was a fan of the Battle of Psychics up until the 6th season, I think. Now there are more than 20, so I was young and stupid. And then I watched a documentary that explained to me and to my superstitious grandma that the Battle of Psychics is bullshit. This is the moment when I grew up. But my imagination is savage, and it always was. I could imagine anything when I was little. I was also very easily impressed, and my family watched the news and television basically 24/7. But then I grew up, and I found people who also had the same obsessions while being quite rational at the same time, because, you know, it's very inspirational. Supernatural is very inspirational. And when I went to university, our university owned a rest house. The rest house was in the village called Iskra, or Iskra. I don't remember the stress of the word. And Iskra, if you want to know the translation, it's called a spark or something like this. Iskra is a very remote village. I remember how we went there. We also escaped from there all the time, because the rest house was a way to pretend that you are kind of recovering, and your stay there is paid, but you don't go to all these Soviet things in the rest house, like charcoal shower or emerald baths or something like this, and you just go home, and then sometimes you show up there when they check who is present, because if you are not present where you are supposed to study otherwise. And those were fun times, because the village is really remote and the rest house was even remoter. All the houses, which were not many, were away. And sometimes when I escaped, then I came back, I took a bus or a marshrutka. This is basically a bucket with screws, but a bus. And you go there, and this road to the village is also known to be a cursed road, because there are many accidents too. But I can imagine that, because there is kind of a bridge between the city still and the village. And especially I can imagine in autumn. Autumns are very foggy in my hometown, starting from 2016. Before they weren't, but now they're very foggy. And to get there, and you always go to the very last bus stop, and the only thing that is standing there is a church. And then you go down, And this is where the forest begins. And there, surrounded by this forest, there is this rest house. It's so remote. It looks so abandoned. We filmed videos for our university, like creepy videos. And to make it even better, although how can it be better, right? Sometimes the light went off completely because it's a village, very, very deep, remote village, an empty space, literally. And also we had various guards who were supposed to guard us, but they made the situation even spookier because we had one guard who was a post-Chechnya PTSD dude, and when he raided the house to realize who is there and who is not present, sometimes we tricked him. We put pillows under the, we put pillows, covered them with a blanket, and we said, "Oh, this is Lisa, she's sleeping there." Then we turned the water on in the shower and we said, "Oh, this is Anya. Anya is taking a shower there." But the thing is, like, imagine, like, he had a very creepy face because he was mentally unwell. He also drank. He drank at work, drank all the night probably, and he raided the house and he told us that we should all pray to Saint Nicholas, Santa Claus. That's why we called him Saint Nicholas, although he had a different name. And another guard drank together with us, and he had certain tendencies to sexual harassment. But it gets even better. It gets even better. Also, that was the village that was very, very close to the mental asylum. Can you imagine the mood of us young girls who don't believe in this stuff, but who are taking it all, enjoying it, like swimming in this creepy stuff because it's fun. It's really fun. At night, the atmosphere, what was going on there, it's very hard to explain. I really miss those times. If anything creepy happened there, I wouldn't say so, because the creepiest things that happened, sometimes on the window we saw like fingerprints, palm prints. Also, we had these Soviet boxes of TVs which didn't show TV, like TV programs, but showed like this thingy. And that was also the creepiest thing, probably. But otherwise, except for crazy drunk trips that my group mates had there, nothing scary. Maybe one more story and let's call it a day, because I'm also tired and probably you also are. Another story. Underground tunnels under the whole town of Kursk, my hometown. Can you imagine that? I can imagine that, but not too well, because of course the chances are quite high that they never existed, and if they existed, they are all grounded with levels, and some of them I saw in pictures or in these documentaries. They showed some, and there are also creepy stories that people went there and they ran out of oxygen, or they simply couldn't find the way out from these catacombs. And personally, I was never there. But there is a rumor, there is a theory that these tunnels were all over under the town. Who told the story? Well, in this documentary, because now I'm much more attentive than I used to be when I was younger. The person who is telling the story about these tunnels, it says that he is the home history, what is the specialist called? Maybe I will find the word. But also he's the head of the regional UFO Believers Society. It's really written like this in the documentary. And also there is an expert who is an astrologist too, but who told other stories. And what I heard is that, of course, yeah, there is a joke that monks and nuns were digging the tunnel, and nuns were more productive than monks. Highly likely nuns were not involved, but I like this joke, I like this rumor, because I think it's quite realistic that nuns had been more productive than monks. And they were digging these tunnels for people to hiding themselves or hiding various stuff, and also for escaping. And they connected like the house of the governor of that times. The governor had this special house that was in the center of the town, which is still preserved. Wow, because in my hometown they treat historical buildings very carelessly, and also the main cathedral, other churches were connected, and also there is a legend that there is this Russian revolutionary. I cannot call him a revolutionary probably because the term revolution didn't exist at that point, but he was against the Tsar and he was trying to organize an uprising, but he was arrested. And the legend calls that he was escorted to Moscow, or he was escorted to St. Petersburg, where his destiny was about to unveil, to become clear. And it happened that this route was through my hometown, and people who escorted Stenka Razin, his name was Stenka Razin, they were so afraid that brave Kursk warriors would fight and kidnap Stenka Razin that they evacuated him through the chain of these tunnels. And there is the photo of the building where they hid him, and through this building they led him to the catacombs. But also at the same time, what I heard, this building hadn't existed yet at the times when Stenka Razin was living his best life. There are plenty of other stories, and I hope I can shape sentences decently, because I have been speaking German all day and I feel like my tongue is twisted like this, and my brain also. But I really hope I entertained you. I really love these town legends. If you know some, if you want to share, really, it's not even for interacting with the video. If I ask something, I'm really genuinely interested, you know. Of course, it's amazing when you interact with this video, but if you genuinely have a story to tell in the comments, I would be so happy. I would be over the moon, really. I swear. And yeah, I think the next week I'm dedicating the whole week to the kids again, because it's school. It's a school vacation in our kids in our school for kids with special needs. But also I'm planning a witchy autumn vlog. I hope I will not go crazy. And in the next week we're already closing the season of the witch. I cannot believe that. Support my previous video because it's not super popular, but I think it's so fun. My previous video is so fun with tarot cards. It's like I laughed a lot when I edited it, but yeah. And also you can watch my previous video, the first video of the season of the witch of this season, and also the old videos, and I also have plenty of other videos. If you want to listen to something or to watch something while you are rewinding after a hard day at work, at school, in the street, on the bus, anywhere, no. Yeah, I think I will be wishing you love and peace. I will be wishing you love. I will be wishing you love and peace from Anna, Northern Germany. I hope you are enjoying colorful, witchy, sometimes rainy autumn, because I enjoy it very much. And see you in the next videos. Tschüss.